Man, what I'll do to be a multi-millionaire. Can you imagine the freedom, the mental stabilization, the female fascination all of a sudden? All the pain you've been through may still have remnants, but the fact you can get any woman you want, do anything you desire, as long as you pay your taxes. They said there's two things you can't escape, and that's death and taxes. But imagine being a millionaire. Imagine being a millionaire streamer where the job you have is actually fun and you get to do whatever you want and make millions of dollars and have all types of things that you always wanted. Big house, big cars, cute girl with a big ass, you know, and just the freedom to pursue your creative endeavors and your creative adventures. Last night I had an interesting dream. I was dreaming about, because sometimes I have this, a few times a year actually, you know, but last night it was one of those dreams that I haven't had in a good 2.5 years, I would say. But it was about this one girl in particular. And I remember in my old channel, I actually made a video on her. I even showed her Instagram and all that, but she started to get harassed and all that. And she came on my channel and said, please don't show people my Instagram. I was like, oh, wow. So I never did that again. And that was when I had about like 400 subscribers at the time, my last channel. But the dream, it wasn't about her, but it was about another girl or whatever, But she was actually in it, which was weird, for like a few seconds in the dream. But we were in this weird town. It's the best way I can describe it. It had like that Resident Evil feel, if you know what I mean. Meaning that the city was like on flames on one side of the city. There was alarms blazing off, like blaring off, and there was some type of disease. That's the best way I could put it. It felt like there were like zombies and stuff. But then like I never really got a good look at like the zombies, because like we were in like this skyscraper type building, and then like I took like a glimpse out the window and like you see like a bunch of people, you can hear like the sound of the zombies, but I never got a good look. But I remember I was traveling through this building and there was like a bloody hand by the elevator, like what the fuck, you know what I mean? So it was like some disease that was going on, but that wasn't the point of the dream. But it was this one girl that I haven't seen since like high school, and in the dream, like she would, like me and her somehow got in this little group, and we were just talking, and it felt so surreal, like it felt real. And then I was thinking to myself, you see how at peace I am with this girl, even though it's a dream. When I woke up, why can't that be real life? Why can't we have that in real life? You know, that peace and serenity when you're surrounded by the right female in your life. That girl brought so much peace to my mind in that dream. And the fact that even all these years later, she has an effect on my mind. So was it due to the human mind when these same girls dish you, disrespect you, talk about you, shit on you, and don't give you no type of affiliation or alleviation of your emotional circumstances? They don't give you a chance. Like I said, man, a man needs a woman in his life to feel some type of confidence, any type of modicum of confidence and competence. Because you can go for years, doing your thing, working hard, building something up. But if you don't have that girl to reinforce your emotional needs, your sexual passions, your sexual desires, it's going to break your mind down eventually. And even with a broken mind, you still can do things. I'm living proof of that. You know, Look what I've been through, and look what I still, hold on to. Even if it's impossible, even if the odds seem not in my favor, it doesn't give you an excuse to give up. But when it comes to females, though, man, it's brutal. Sometimes you just have to give up on that situation, unfortunately. Like the right female is what I mean. Still go out there, still try to date, still try to talk if that's what you're into. But just know that if you don't have the looks, you don't have the money, you don't have the success, and you don't have the accolades, it's going to be very difficult. Unless you're Chad or Tyrone or Dre Meeks. you know. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of us have that wife, not the waifu, but that muse. If you know what a muse is, MUSE is called a muse. That person that you really like. I believe that's the terminology. But that girl that you really like, that never really leaves your mind. I have a few of them. And every now and then I have dreams about them and think about them, and it just makes me so happy. And I start to think and daydream like, man, if I was a multi-millionaire, she'd be in my life right now. We'd be traveling the world, private jets, private sex, you know what I mean? Private depths, you know what I mean? Going to island resorts with the white sand beach and the clear water, seeing her in her bikini, they seeing that ass jiggle from a distance, you know what I mean? And just rolling up some good kush or whatever, eating some good food, stuff like that, and actually enjoying life, creating new projects, new adventures. Even then, I probably still make videos though if I ever became some millionaire. But you know, we already know the chances of a lot of us getting that successful is kind of you have to really be lucky and really have the right people. But I make these videos mostly to help people that are in similar circumstances or situations, and to try to give some type of hope. But beautiful women have an impact on a man's emotional mind. A beautiful girl, man, in your life can change almost everything. You'll start to look at yourself different. You start to act different, you know, and especially if she really cares about you, or has some type of love for you, and you guys share the same hobbies, and you can share those hobbies and bond even deeper. Every single man needs a woman in his life, point blank, period. Every man needs to experience that. Having a girl that you really wanted and getting her, instead of experiencing having a girl that you really want, but she doesn't want anything to do with you. She doesn't want nothing to do with you because of your looks. You know, it's brutal. But that's the reality for a lot of men, especially if your economic circumstances are destitute. Have you guys ever watched those weddings where it shows like they're getting married, and like the girl, you can tell the girl doesn't really like the guy, so when they give a kiss, it's like a fake kiss. Like she doesn't really like him, but she's marrying him because of money and power. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at the guy like, bro, you can't see the little signs of this girl not really liking you. Like she doesn't really like you. You can tell by how she tried to kiss you. She's not kissing you like with any type of passion or love. It's just like a little, like you can tell the girl's kind of frowning, and they're getting married. People's families are there. No one notices it, but I notices it. The black pill villain notices. I'm like, that's brutal. That's I'd rather just be alone than try to get with a girl that doesn't really truly like me or truly love me or have any type of compassion or empathy for me, or doesn't really want to see me win or help me build or something like that. A lot of women want the champion when he already won the championship. They don't want to be with the guy who's trying to get a championship. You're trying to build something. It's very rare to find a girl that sees you with nothing, sees you with no money, sees you with just, struggling. And then she says, I see something in you. And she helps you build. She helps you build a website. She tells her friends about this. She helps you get a job because, she has a hookup because one of her best friends is like a directing manager. She helps you get a job. She puts you in a position. That happened to Jeremy Meeks. Jeremy Meeks went from a prison cell to the husband of a billionaire. And then he became his own multimillionaire, and then he had kids with her. Isn't that crazy? All because of his looks. That's a hell of a lucky thing due to genetics. Meanwhile, there's people in our position that we don't look the best, you know what I mean? And we don't have a lot of money. And that's going to make girls not want to mess with us at all. I don't understand why the world acts like men not having access to females, especially at a younger age, when you're in your teens, early 20s, in your mid 20s, maybe your early 30s. Those are the years that are extremely important and significant when it comes to developing emotional bonds and emotional relationships. When you're in your, when you turn, like when you're like, what, 16, 17, you know, then you go 18, 19, and then 20, 21, you enter the college years and all that stuff. And then, you go to 25 in your early 30s. Like those are the years, man, you're supposed to have experiences, with females that are going to, that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And if you don't have those experiences, or a lot of those experiences, it's going to affect you emotionally. It's going to eat at your soul and pick at your brain and pick at your heart and tear it apart. But we have to be strong in this situation, in this position. People were telling me, man, we can't wait till the AI robots come out and then people can get girlfriend robots. Even if you have a girlfriend robot, it's not going to feel the exact same as having a real woman with a real soul, with a real spirit, with real ambition, with real goals, with real minds. You can have deep spiritual conversations. I'm not saying you can't do that with an AI robot, but it's not real. Even if you trick your mind that it's real, it's not real. I like authenticity. I like shit that's real, that's raw, that's uncut, that's unfiltered, that's powerful. Because the real will separate itself from the fake. When something is fake, it's not going to last. When something is real, it's going to last for eons. Look at the Great Pyramids. Look at the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Look at the ancient Colosseums of Rome. They still stand to this day. Now look at I think it's called tofu building, what they have in China. The tofu building, the dreg buildings. They make those buildings within a year or two, and they fall down. You can Google YouTube, China building falls, and you see big giant buildings, skyscrapers falling down. And it's just like, what the fuck? This can't be the same empire that created those beautiful monuments thousands of years ago. And now recent China, because everybody knows the Jays run everything. You know, looking how Mao Zedong got into power. Remember, wasn't it Mao Zedong? Didn't he go visit Stalin? Look how Stalin got into power. Look how Lenin got into power. There was a lot of Jays involved with that, and that's all I gotta say. But you can see the fomentation of a new world order integration. This world is already devastated. And the fact to be a young man in this world, trying to find yourself, trying to discover yourself, trying to find your path in life, and you don't have no girl, you don't have no wife, you don't have no sexual, emotional alleviation, when you're going through this devastation, annihilation, and total soul obliteration, it's going to take its effects on you. But you have to stay strong, point blank, period. I know this life can be difficult for a lot of us, but whatever dream you hold on to, even if it seems impossible, keep going. You know, y'all know my story, man. I've been going through it for years. It's just, to me, it's another day on the battlefield. You know, recently I just beat the Outer Worlds too. And pretty much towards the very end, you get if it's a spoiler, I'm sorry, fuck it, but in the end, you get a chance to like drive your ship through the portal or send one of your henchmen. I chose to drive myself through the portal. I was like, fuck this, you know what I mean? So I went through the portal and took the sacrifice. Like, I'm tired of this bullshit, all the crap you gotta do in the game, all the petty little fetch quests. But I'm tired of this crap life where it's like you're always in servitude to somebody else. You're always in submission or oppression to the government systems, the government infrastructures. I was like, fuck it. And I closed the portal. I thought I was going to blow everything up, but instead it just closed all the portals and healed everything. I was like, damn it. I found that funny. But what's not funny is being a man not having a good woman in your life and going years and years and years and years and years and years without it. To eventually you snap. To eventually, you say, fuck it. Like, life is already brutal and merciless. And yet you have nobody there to try to hug you, to kiss you, to pick you up, to make you know that it's going to be all right through the night, to let you know that you're somebody that's special to them. You have somebody that loves you and cares for you. It's deeper than just having sex. Sex is primitive for a lot of animals, right? But it's that emotional connection and that emotional bond is what a lot of us are looking for with a female. But we already know how brutal this life is and how ruthless it can be, especially if you don't have any strong support networks around you, and especially if you look a certain way, certain skin color configuration. I think it's Asana. I don't know if you guys know who Asana is, but he makes these black pill posts. I watch him, and I look at his posts all the time. And Asana talks about skin color configuration and how that plays an effect. He talks about how when you're a black guy or whatever, there's a lot of preliminary parameters you have to overcome. The girl's family, her friends, how the society's going to look at you. There's this one video where there's one black guy sitting having coffee with this one girl, with this white woman, and a cop comes over and starts harassing the black guy, saying he looks like a suspect. And I'm just like, what? Like, the guy's minding his business. Why would you do that? Like, it just makes no sense, that this world is built off of your looks and whether you know the right people It's crazy. I wish we were in a fair world where your heart, what's inside your heart, determines your success. If you're a good person at heart, people like the gods or whoever can look inside your heart and then bless you in accordance to what's in your heart. No jealousy, no envy, no this, no that. You don't have any hatred, and you're able to rise up and become successful. But yeah, that's it for this video. You guys have a good Saturday. Peace.